Hi everybody, welcome to ZEROYON. It's fair to say I absolutely love my Abarth 595 Competizione. However, one of the major things I'm not too keen on is of course the space in the back. Now don't get me wrong, you do not buy an Abarth 595 or Fiat 500 for its boot space. But what we can do is fit a kit which is going to make the back of the car so much more usable. I'm going to be fitting the MS Racing rear seat delete kit for my Abarth 595. The reason I wanted this kit is because it's the one that most closely resembles the Biposto kit, okay, and I just think it's the nicest looking. Rather than it just fitting to the where the parcel shelf would go, it physically installs and provides that little bit of bracing for the car. So what I'm going to do is show you what comes with the kit, get it fitted, and then we'll go for a little drive and just see what we think to everything, because I'm also expecting to get some increased exhaust noise given the fact that those rear seats are no longer going to be there. So this is the kit in all of its glory. Of course, from MS Racing you have got various options. You can choose a black or red carpet. I've gone for black to keep it more factory looking inside the car. As you can see, my car is white with the red accents, hence me going for the red bar, which I think will just look really cool on the interior. And just to keep it a little bit more neutral and OEM looking, I have also gone for the black netting. So let's start by getting the old seats out. I'll do this as a bit of a quick tutorial and then of course review it once it's all fitted at the end. So to start with, we're just going to remove the parcel shelf, if you can even call it one, because of how small this thing is. After that's been removed, we're just going to remove the two rear headrests from the back of the seats just to give us a little bit more space. I moved the two front seats as forward as far as they would go just to give us that little bit more working room when we are working on the interior of the vehicle. After which I released the two seat backs and pushed them all the way forward for greater access to the bolts we're going to need to remove. So next up, we're going to remove this centre bolt with the Allen head. This is what retains the rear seat bench in place and stops it moving around. Once this centre bolt is out, all we need to do is just remove this retaining pin, which will then release the seat backs. Once that's been undone, we need to just remove these four 16mm bolts that secure the backs of the seats to the chassis. Now, just a quick tip for this job, normally I would use a ratchet set, but I found that using the 16mm ring spanner so much easier to use where you are space limited. Plus, it would have been a bit tricky to get the right angle by using the full ratchet set, because of course the space is limited against the back of this seat. So now we've got those 5 bolts removed, we now need to take the rear seat backs out of the car. Now, whilst this does look like a big piece, it's most certainly not. If we just lift up the right hand side seat back, you can see it literally separates from the actual left one, so this makes it so much easier to get both of these pieces out of the car without scratching anything. So now the backs are removed, we need to remove the rear bench, which is the bit you actually put your bum on. To do that, we're going to just remove that bolt right there and that bolt right there on the other side. And once again, we can quite easily use our 16mm ring spanner to get those off. Now, as you can see, those bolts have been removed, but what I'm going to do is just leave them in the car rather than remove them completely, because those are going to come in really handy later on once we go to fit the rest of the MS Racing kit. So let's just get the bench out, and then we're going to have to start removing all of these trim bits here to get rid of the seat belts and to allow us to fit the mounting brackets. So to make this look a proper job, more professional and that little bit neater, we're going to remove the rear seat belts. But we'll get back to that in a little while, because what I'm going to do right now is just remove the existing boot carpet, and then what we need to do is release and remove this black bar from the vehicle, which of course is what your rear seat clicked into, as we saw earlier. Most importantly, provides the mounting point for your rear seatbelt latches. So sit rep, really annoying situation. The Torx bit, I need to get out the final 2 bolts to remove that bar. I do not have the right size. I need one which is just 1 step bigger than this one. So I'm going to pop off, go and get one and reconvene. The joys of working on cars. So now with the right equipment and those 2 bolts removed, all we need to do is simply move this out of the way. There we go, let's pop that over there. And that is essentially what your Abarth or Fiat 500 looks like with all of the rear seats removed. So it's time to remove this panel right here. As you can see, we've got a screw there. We've also got a screw right there. So we need to get both of these off, then that should allow us to just pull this piece away and hopefully gain a little bit more access. So with those screws removed, which are going to, as you can see, we'll gently pull on this. I want to take it nice and steady. Now, as you can see, I'm not using a trim removal tool because they have come out pretty easily. So there we go, that is now out. Okay, we're just going to unbolt that, thread that through, and then of course go with tackling the seatbelt mechanism, which should be just behind there. Just for reference, those at the bottom of the seatbelt are a 13 head, and those at the top, just to make things complicated, are a 17. Given the fact that everything else in the car has been a 16, that's kind of annoying. But of course, if you have a half decent tool set, you're going to have most of these anyway. Now, I have to stress that of all the tools I've used so far, the ring spanners have proved the most useful. So if you don't have a set of ring spanners, you get some before starting this job. So now we've got the bottom one loose, we just need to do the top. As you can see there is this one right here, and we have also got one underneath the seatbelt mechanism right there. There really isn't much pressure on them, so literally I've already done the other side, just a slight turn to get the tightness off, then you can just wind them with your fingers. So don't worry about doing that whatsoever. Now the next job is to remove the original rear seat locking hooks and replace them with our new brackets that came as the MS Racing kit, ready for mounting our new rear chassis bar. Now please make note of the way that these are on by watching this video, because they are side specific. These bolts are on quite tight again, so a little bit of spray will be useful. Now I didn't remove the side panels to get to these locking pins. There's more than enough space to get behind to undo and get them swapped over. Right guys, so I'm filming from inside the car. I have missed a couple of steps. I've just had to basically crack on because it was so difficult to actually film and do all of this. So essentially I'm just going to try and show you what stage we've gone up to. So let me just turn the camera around. Right, so this is where we've got so far. Okay, so as you can see, we've got our brackets in place on both sides, and then what we have to do is we have this, of course, pillar ball mount, and then all we need to do is once these are in place, we slot the pillar ball mount just gently in that way, and then bolt through the top, and obviously we'll nip these up. On the end of the pillar ball, we've got a thread. Of course, the actual bar just turns on, and then what we do is the exact same to that one. Obviously, you know, we allow ourselves enough room, and then we of course mount the pillar ball, join just the same way as we did the other side, and then of course all we do is just turn this, okay, to provide that tension. Okay, once we've got the tension, of course what we can then do is just use these to lock it off, and then just tighten these up to make sure that's going nowhere. As you can see, that is pretty solid. Just need a little bit more tension on that side, but apart from that, that is absolutely fantastic, and I think that's a great addition. Then what we're going to do is just finish it up here, and then we'll put the bottom plate on, which of course bolts into the bottom of there. Remember those bolts I said to remember to use, and this just secures everything in place nice and neat.
A few moments later.
So now we've got the metal bar threaded through our net. That looks really, really cool. We're just going to go get the mat, refit the mat, and then of course this ties it all down and keeps it in place and looking really nice and neat. Now, one thing to mention that many of you I'm sure wouldn't do, I've chosen to do it. Okay, so all of these bolts that we actually removed to undo the seat, I have actually put them back purely because obviously it just looks for me better than just some holes sat there. We'll clear this paper off at some point, and of course because we've got a bunch of padding on the actual mat, you're not going to feel them, or it's not going to stop anything rolling around or getting caught in the boot. So yeah, I just thought that was a nice little idea, rather than just leaving them all in my garage, just put them back and it just looks nice and neat. And of course when it comes to refitting the rear seats, if I ever do sell the car, of course we know exactly where those all are.
Let's just take a moment to appreciate just how good this looks. This gives the Abarth so much more boot space. It looks pretty cool, and it also allows us to save a bit of weight in the car, which will surely help give us that little bit more performance. I really like the addition of the cargo net, as it just gives the car that overall race car look. And let's be honest, this was just such a simple job that I think absolutely anybody will be able to tackle it. Oh my goodness, that sounds absolutely
brilliant. That actually took my breath away there. That sounds absolutely magnificent. Basically, I wanted to wrap up this video by going for a bit of a drive just to see whether removing the rear seats and of course all that additional padding that comes with it would greatly improve the sound of the exhaust running through the car. And as you can hear, that sounds absolutely awesome. As you can hear, that really does, of course, by removing those seats, it just lets that exhaust noise come into the cabin that little bit more. And I'm guessing if you're the type of person that's going to be removing the rear seats, you're probably wanting your Abarth to be a little bit more racy, so I'm guessing you're not going to mind that additional exhaust noise. I do, of course, have the record Monza because this is a 595 comp, but ultimately that just sounds absolutely fantastic. So would I recommend this kit from MS Racing? 100%. I think it's a really, really nice piece of kit. Of course, you can choose your colour of the bar as well to suit your theme of your car. You, of course, can choose the boot carpet, red or black, whichever you want. And of course, you've got a choice of cargo nets as well. Obviously, the big advantage is, of course, you're going to have more luggage space, which is absolutely paramount in a car like this, because you don't have a lot to begin with. I never carry any passengers, so of course having that additional luggage space is really important to me. But most importantly, it really does amplify that sound, and it looks absolutely great, as I'm sure you can agree. And when it does come to weight, through my investigating, and by investigating I mean standing with each individual part I've removed from the vehicle on some scales, totting it all up and comparing that with fitting the new piece of kit from the MS Racing, basically I've figured that you're going to save around 21 to 22 kilograms. Okay, so you know there is an advantage to fitting this kit also, especially if you want that additional performance from your car. 20-21 kilograms is going to make a difference. So that wraps up the video. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget, give it a big thumbs up. It tells the YouTube algorithm more people just like you might want to watch this video. Subscribe if you're awesome, and until next time, see you again soon.